Hey, what's up, Reefers? I'm Reefer Matt, and this is the Mini Trident modification. So here's the two housings side by side. On the left is the original, and on the right is the Mini. So as you can see, the Mini is a little bit smaller front to back, so that's why I like it. It'll save me some space under my sump. So to get started, you got to take these rubber feet off, and the screws underneath are probably rusted. That's where water and condensation collects, so you may have a problem taking these little screws out. So what I ended up doing is getting out the needle nose pliers and just pulling off the little rubber feet. And I even had to do it on a couple of the screws because they were rusted pretty good. So here's those screws. One of them actually broke off, but that's okay. I'm not going to reuse this housing anyway. I just used the needle nose pliers to get them out. So once those are removed, then you can remove the outer casing. You'll need a little flathead screwdriver here just to get in between the two parts of the housing and just pry it up. And there we go. The first part's off. I almost forgot, the cuvette usually gets dirty after a while, so I recommend cleaning it out at least once a year, and that'll make sure that your readings are accurate. Next is this tape. It's holding some of the tubing on the inside, so just go ahead and remove the tape. It's not that hard to come off. The next part is the center section here. You just use a flathead screwdriver as well on that. That end piece there might come off as well. And right there is where you want to pry it. After you get it pried up, carefully remove the top and make sure you don't pinch any of that. And be very careful with the wiring, it's very delicate. There's also a little plastic tie up top that needs to be snipped. To remove the pump section, just carefully pull the sides apart. And now you're left with all the internals of the Trident. So this is my first time doing this modification, and I was referencing the instructions as I was going. Just make sure to take care of the electronics because they're very delicate. So the first part is this clip here. You just put it on and slide it down. Make sure it goes all the way down. So as you can see here, I didn't get it all the way down the left side, so I'm going to press it down a little more. So next up is to move the waistline. You're going to take off the connector here and then move it around. And the tubing can be secured in the clip. And then make sure not to lose this connector and reinstall it. Alright, next we're going to take the assembly and put it inside the housing. There's a couple tabs there that you want to make sure line up and you push it down. And then you're going to move the waistline and the sample line down to the slots. And the next step is install this clip. This will hold the rest of it down. Next, go ahead and put it in the tray as shown here. Next is the most important part. As you can see, I already messed up when I was doing it. That's the optical sensor, so you want to take really good care of that because the machine won't work without it. So you want to be very careful with the wiring, and that's going to mount to the top of the bracket. Very, very careful. You don't want to mess up those wires. It's also very important to get the optical sensor back into the notch where it came from. Alright, so now it's time to route the reagent lines. I suggest giving yourself some room to change out the reagent bottles. And then each one has a slot that it goes into. And then if you need to, there's an extra spot up in the clip to put the tubing. And there we are. Now we're ready for the cover. But before I get the cover on, I want to clean my cuvette. These things do get dirty and it will affect the reading. I just use a little rubbing alcohol and a Q-tip. And as you can see, it's pretty filthy. So make sure you save this little bead if you're going to clean out your cuvette. That's actually the mixing bead, and that's what stirs up the reagent. And once everything's all clean, put your mixing bead back in and put the top back on. Okay, now it's time for the cover. So just very carefully make sure there's no wiring or tubing that's going to get pinched, and just put the cover on. It snaps right on. It's a pretty tight fit actually. And voila, the Trident Mini. I like this housing better than the original. I'm Reefer Matt. Thank you for watching and happy reefing.